Just reading this email again through is kind of really... At time of deterioration, this is his email, Jaram's email. Nurse Williams off ward, talking to parents on labour suite. Staff nurse Letby at incubator and called Dr. Jaram to inform of low saturations. If it's right that he's copying notes here, whose voice is this in? Whose voice could that be in? It's someone who would have signed the notes at the bottom. You don't see that in Jaram's email because he's not going to put that down there. He's just putting the note down rather than who wrote the note. I don't believe that's Jaram's note. I don't know. I can't say that. I don't know whose note that is. Just start with that. Don't know whose note that is that he's using as the source material for this email. Whose note could it be? What name is missing there? What name isn't mentioned there? It's Nurse Oakley, isn't it? What if it was Nurse Oakley? Does this make sense? No, Nurse Oakley is writing the contemporaneous note. And it goes as follows. At time of deterioration, Nurse Williams off ward talking to parents on labour suite. She would know that because that's what she's been told by Nurse Williams at the time. So that's why it would be a contemporaneous note, or just after this event had happened. She would remember that. Staff Nurse Letby at incubator. Is that at what point in time? Is that subsequent to the bloody virus protection nonsense? That was the bleep. Staff Nurse Letby at incubator. See, I think that's him copying someone else's writing. I think, and that Staff Nurse Letby at incubator and called. See, that and is there's the missing subject there. They're saying Nurse Letby is at the incubator and called Dr. Jaram to inform of low saturations. That could apply to Nurse Lucy Letby, but it could also apply to the writer of the note, which could be Carolyn Oakley, Nurse Oakley, couldn't it? Endotracheal tube had been secured properly and baby not overactive. No obvious reason for tube to have dislodged. Is that then going into Jaram's memory of it or his notes about it? Is there a mixture? His source material is a mixture of nursing and doctor notes. That's what produces this. It's not one voice he's looking at, not one set of notes. It's a mixture of nursing notes and doctor notes, and medical people will be able to, people working in hospitals will be able to confirm that. There's obviously going to be a mixture of input, as I know there is in care notes, because I've had a lot to do with those over the years, and there's a mixture of input there, you know, from the carers, from the manager, from people who come in, and it's kind of all under a particular day or set of time. I don't know how it would be arranged for the hospital. By the time we get to the end, before he says those are my ones over to you in a really crass way, I think we're in Jaram in 2017, in May 2017 there. He's moved away from the notes by that point, and he's got this, developing this overview or this construction. But further back in it, when does it change? See, all that, he obviously hasn't got all that in his head from 15 months ago. So he's working through something is a set of notes about which various people have had input into them. Not just one person, I don't think. because it goes right back to when the baby was born. So various people would have had input into those notes. Who might have written the line about new tube placed and baby recovered? But then he goes back in time. So the shift in time, it's not linear, because he talks about the desaturation. Then he goes back to the point at the time of deterioration. At time of deterioration, Nurse Williams off ward talking to parents. That could be Jaram. That could be Jaram reading the notes and then putting that down there. Staff nurse Lucy Letby at incubator and called Dr. Jaram to inform of low saturations, which is the thing that people are going with now, the idea that it was Nurse Letby that called him. That's such an important factor. I mean, because I believe it's got to be from the notes. It was very important at the time for someone, whomsoever, wrote the notes in the medical notes to get that line in there, that Nurse Lucy Letby was at the incubator and called Dr. Jaram. Unless that line is not as clear as it might first appear. Staff Nurse Letby at incubator and missing the eye, and I called Dr. Jaram to inform of low saturations, i.e. potentially Nurse Oakley, or even Nurse Williams, but more likely Nurse Oakley, maybe. But then, this is all about translation of other notes into this format, into this email. He's using it as the source, but he's dipping in, he's changing it's not a linear time. He's not going through it in a linear way in terms of time, in terms of actions. It's because he's building up a picture. The fact of the matter, the fact of somebody calling, let's say hypothetically staff nurse Lucy Letby did not, because she has no memory, she said in court of this. Let's say it was Carolyn Oakley that actually called him. That might fit with this line. That the alarms go off. Nurse Lucy comes from the other nursery where she's looking after her own two babies. She comes into nursery 1. Nurse Williams is not back yet, but she's just about to hear the alarms when she comes back in at 2:47. Oh, this is bothering me. This is bothering me. You know the problem about the door data, and that Nurse Williams was meant to be back by 3:50. What's this 3:50 time doing in here then? If it was all about, if that mistaken time, when he had to go, he said, well, they had to put the time of the desaturation back, didn't they? Because the door data was wrong. Why in this email from 2017 has he got 3:50 there, by which time Nurse Williams would be back? He's saying the 3:50 figure again in 2017, before they've had anything to do with door data. Where's that timing come from? And then they have to change it. Oh my God. Sorry, is this a thing? Is this a thing? It confirms the time again, which means and we know that door data's right, that 3:47 Nurse Williams comes in. So we've got the time. So the time could, as they did in the retrial, they brought the time back to make it fit again, didn't they? Because he said 3:50 on his watch and all that business. Sorry, am I getting this mixed up? This is an email from May 2017, and he's got he's saying it's at 3:50, and that's come from the notes. So in the notes contemporaneously, it happened at 3:50, which must mean Nurse Williams was there before it happening, which means Nurse Lucy Letby couldn't be there on her own, could she? Couldn't be there on her own. Because what they did in the retrial, they just moved the time backwards, didn't they? To say it happened between 3:40. That's another thing this is giving up, isn't it? Something massive about this time here, isn't it? Confirming that Nurse Lucy Letby couldn't have been on her own there. That Nurse Williams would because of the door data. Is that right? Is that right? Am I right? Is that right? The retrial. Because of the wrong, CPS got it the wrong way round, didn't they say, oh, well, it must have happened between 3:42 and 3:40. There's a 4-minute window before Nurse Williams comes back at 3:47. Has to happen before 3:47. Has to happen before 3:47. But here, this is just a year and a bit later. This is not contemporaneous, but it's not that far away. They're saying it's 3:50, and that would have been in the notes. I don't know. I don't understand it. Or is this just, who's written that? Who's written 3:50 in that? Is that in the note? It's not that Jaram remembers from years back it was exactly 3:50 out of nowhere, not connected with anything. It's not that, is it? It's not that, is it? It's not that he remembers it. There's a stick in the ground there that he's working with, which is the notes itself, which means that note was made at the time, based on what clock then? Based on what? His watch. I know we've got the thing about him being asked to come in now. That sentence could mean more than one thing. It could mean staff Nurse Letby at the incubator and that she called him, but it could also mean whoever's writing that note that he's copying in 2017, that he's copying the note made in 2016, in February 2016. And the has a missing subject after it, a missing I, and I called Dr. Jaram. Because what you don't see in this email is the person or persons that make up the notes, the initials of the nurses, and maybe Jaram himself, and maybe Dr. Smith even, I don't know. You don't see that. Who these elements that he's patching together to make the email. You don't see who they are attributed to from the notes. We need to see the notes. It's the notes. But the time, isn't this a thing? Have I lost my mind? Tell me if I've lost my mind. Is the change for the retrial now impossible because of this email as well? Because it says categorically it's 3:50, and then they established through door data Nurse Williams was back. So they can't have a shifting time, can they, to get it through that retrial? They just move the time, but they can't, can they? Oh, I don't know. This is there's a lot in this email and how it intersects with with the notes written by potentially multiple people, and then added to by Jaram in the now of May 2017. Help. I don't know. It's just awful. Awful what they've done. Awful. Cheers. Good night. Good night.